All right, we'd like to welcome everybody out to Surprise We Both Love Movies. This week, we have a special feature that is streaming exclusively on Amazon Prime. So if you have Prime, it's not going to cost you a dime. It just got released. It is a movie called One Night in Miami, which is directed by Regina King and stars Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X. We've got Eli Garee as Cassius Clay, and we have Aldous Hodge as Jim Brown, and we have Leslie Odom Jr. as Sam Cooke. All right, Lamont, kind of run us through what this movie is about.
All right. This movie takes place in 1964, and right after Muhammad Ali defeats Sonny Liston for the World Championship. That night, it turns into a celebration where he gets to connect with some old friends, and those friends are obviously Malcolm X, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke. Get to see their interaction, how they become to know each other. You kind of learn a little bit about their backstory and what the struggles are for successful Black men at that time during the civil rights movement, and what their responsibilities are, how much, they're able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They're talking about their future plans and what they hope to do and accomplish, for the rest of their lives, and how they basically kind of want to be remembered, and whether or not what they do now, how much it matters in the big scheme of things, because there's so much going on during those times. It was very kind of slice of life movie is what I would say. You're just in this kind of environment for a night, and you get to see how they interact with each other. And it was interesting because it's a fictional story. All these men did get together that night, but no one knows what was said or what was discussed. Right. But the content and the writer did a great job of, possibly suggesting here's what they talked about, and conveying their ideas correctly, and the things that they believed in, and their passions, and their heartache, and their struggles, and their ambitions. Regina King did an excellent job in her first directorial debut, kind of putting this together. But it was a play at first, so it was kind of, she gets half credit because it's already been done before, but she put together a good cast, and it was a good production, high production quality for this film. What did you think, Aaron?
Yeah, this movie was interesting. And like you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned that it was a fictional take on this. This was the thing I noticed first off when I started the movie, because this is a meeting I was not familiar with. I had no idea that all these guys were friends during this time frame. And so this is intriguing. And Amazon made it very clear this is a fictitious story based on what happened that night. Now, as you mentioned, if this is taken from a play, I still have to give credit to Regina King as the director, because the thing that stood out in this movie was the acting. It was incredible. I think this is the first movie I've really watched this year outside of Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Well, Wonder Woman was last year. So this is, I think, the first big movie I've seen this year. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, I think it's going to be hard to top the acting from this film. In fact, I would go so far to say that Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays Malcolm X, he should certainly be up for an Academy Award for this film.
Yeah, he was excellent.
I really hope they don't discard the streaming services. They're trying to get, there's some big name people like Steven Spielberg, which I find disappointing, trying to get people and the Academy away from even considering these streaming services, which would be insane, because a movie's a movie. I don't care where it comes from, if it's done well. And Regina King, man, I will watch anything she does in the future, because it kept you gripped the entire time. And it's not an exciting movie. It's not an action film. It's very intriguing because of what's going on in the world today. It's very timely for the events that have happened over the past 24 months. Okay. It's a great time to release this movie. The only thing I didn't like is, gosh dang it, they made Malcolm X seem like a freaking manipulator, and not in a good way. I walked away when it came to the scene, and I don't think I'm giving anything. I'm not going to give anything. I don't want to give too much away because I want people to watch it.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where Cassius Clay, at the time, for people who don't know, Muhammad Ali used to be Cassius Clay. He's making a big decision in the film. Mm-hmm. And there's a part where he feels like he's been manipulated by Malcolm X, which he had. I mean, he definitely had. He was taking advantage of the situation. And
I
Malcolm
think that
X,
was left up to question, is what I would say. I mean, I know what you're saying. Like, whenever anyone's trying to convince you of anything,
yes,
you could be considered being manipulated. Now, whether or not he had to ultimately make that decision on, hey, look, am I being manipulated or is this what I want? And I think that anytime anyone accepts something new, that's always a possibility.
it is. But see, that in the movie, they made that Malcolm X was banking on that exact thing so that he wouldn't bear the responsibility of the decision. And he did it in the moment. And it made him look like a master manipulator. And he was a great leader for his time. There are quotes from him that are amazing, very timely, even today.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very sharp, smart individual.
Oh,
But
very
in the
much so.
movie, they made him seem like a freaking manipulator. And I didn't like the negative aspect of the way they made that seem. Everything from talking to Sam Cooke about the song and trying to manipulate him, it was like he went from person to person and was trying to manipulate them and get them to do what he wanted. And some of it, you have to admit, some of it was for personal gain. If he
Well,
was leaving,
right, but I didn't, I just didn't see it that way. I mean, I know what you're saying, in that, like, I didn't feel like that Regina King presented him as a manipulator. I think that he was someone who was very passionate and very articulate about what he
yes,
wanted, and he believed that he needed to push everybody to be the best that they could, or to achieve the things, the goals that he wanted, and that he believed that most people wanted. But I didn't walk away watching the film and going, man, Regina King portrayed him as a manipulator. That's interesting that you have that take, but I did not have that feeling at all.
that's totally what I took away from it. And I really wish she would have toned it down just a little bit. I think they made him come off as too forceful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that to take away from the acting job that he did, though, because holy crap, that guy can act.
Yeah, he did a very good job.
I have personally never seen him in anything, and I walked away absolutely blown away. And same as the guy who played Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
These two guys.
And as you know, Sam Cooke, the guy who played Sam Cooke, is Leslie Odom Jr., who
Yeah.
played Aaron Burr in Hamilton. So those of you who are more theater than film, he's got great success. He's put out like 3 jazz albums or something like that. So this is the first time I'd actually seen him in any film. So I thought he did an excellent job as Sam Cooke. And actually, I grew up, on long road trips. My dad would play Sam Cooke music. We'd all be like, "Oh, we don't want to hear that old time music." But he would play it. So every time in the movie, I heard the music. I knew exactly what song it was. I could practically sing along because he had introduced me to that music. So it was interesting to kind of hear his point of view, at least how it was presented, how he probably thought and how he, viewed the world. I thought it was pretty interesting to have some insight on that.
And I did some research after this and found that, a lot of people still consider the real Sam Cooke to be one of the most amazing top of the line singers that has ever lived on this planet. He's very well respected.
Oh, yeah.
And he had some tragedy shortly after
right?
the events of this movie. These were things they didn't talk about in the movie. They kept it very intimate. It was about that one night.
Yeah.
Gripping from beginning to end.
I saw an interview with Regina King, and she said, she was actually speaking to the actors, and she said, hey, this isn't the ending that we originally scripted for this movie. So I think that she said she watched their performances and kind of made alterations to the way that she wanted to kind of put a stamp at the end of the movie. And I thought it was more fitting than, but Sam Cooke, yes, the way that his life ended was tragic, but he had a lot of success.
Yes,
and,
he did.
and overcame a lot to get to that success. So, yep. I mean, to your point, there's been Muhammad Ali movies. There's been Malcolm X movies. I haven't seen Jim Brown movie, and I haven't seen a Sam Cooke, but I think Sam Cooke might be next.
Yeah, it would be nice. I don't know if they'd ever do a Jim Brown movie. After what happened today, for people who don't know, today Hank Aaron passed away, and I think they're going to probably jump on that bandwagon soon and probably do some kind of biography on him. I think that would be more timely than doing Jim Brown. But like I said, all of these events that happen in this movie could lead to a series of films. And I would like to see Regina King continue to direct. There are some female directors that just leave an impact. She was one of them. But I think this is the most impactful movie I've seen by any female director in a very long time. Mm-hmm. What did you think overall of the film?
Overall, I liked the content. I liked the interaction. I thought it was important. I think sometimes, for me, I like to see a movie where you get to see different black men have a conversation about what's going on. And I don't think that generally speaking, there's a lot of or enough films where you get to see that interaction. They see the different viewpoints, the different backgrounds, the different aspirations. There's too much of, oh, there's a maybe one or two black characters, or maybe even, it's kind of getting up to three now, black characters in a movie, and you get to know a little bit about them. But in this movie, you really get to know the ins and outs, at least of that time in that moment of these four men. And I thought that was interesting. So for me, the interaction that they had with each other, the dialogue, it was at times it was very they had good back and forth. There's a little bit, there's comedic moments in there
Yes,
that
there
were very well suited and well timed. So for me, this movie, while not spectacular, it really captured the mood. So I would definitely give it a high 7. For definitely check this out and give it a watch.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised you didn't give it higher than that.
No, as a film, I would probably go along that same lines. I felt like it was a 7 because if you go back and you kind of research and kind of find out a little bit more about who these men are and what they believed, I think it sparks an interest, something for you to follow up on and find out more about these remarkable men in their different fields. So for me, it's a 7 and a 7.
All right. For me, as a movie, I'd give it an 8. Like, I thought it was really well done. It was very entertaining, very well directed. It's going to keep your attention like very few films can from beginning to end. If I had to give it a film score, I'd probably put it straight down the middle. Okay. And here's why. When I think of the film score, you think of the film giving you more on multiple watches. I don't see this film giving off more on multiple watches than what I got in the first viewing, simply because the film doesn't have the content.
Mm-hmm.
It's what happened in real life and what you're going to do with the research afterwards.
Right.
So it's not the movie itself. It's the interest that it's going to spark in you to go do some research and find other things out. So for the movie itself, I don't see a whole lot coming from multiple viewings. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it brings these people to the forefront and make you see them like you've never seen them before. So I'd have to give the film score a 5 because, like I said, I don't think it's going to garner a whole lot of multiple viewings because it was a fictitious take. All right, so that's what we have for you guys this week. Again, this was for the movie called One Night in Miami, which is streaming exclusively on Amazon Prime. So go check it out. So I'm Aaron Fisher.
And I'm Lamont Lovejoy.
See you guys next time.